You wake up in the morning, and before you have opened your eyes fully, before the birds outside have finished their first song, a thought arrives. An old worry, an old regret, something unfinished, something unsaid. Most people live their entire lives this way, carrying yesterday into today and today into tomorrow. The weight builds so slowly that they stop noticing it. They think this is simply what life feels like. But it is not life that is heavy, my friend. It is the way we are holding it. There is a reason certain people who have lost much, who have aged much, who have been given every reason to harden, still move through the world with a kind of lightness, a kind of quiet joy that has nothing to do with what is happening around them. Today, I want to share with you 12 principles from Buddhist teaching that can begin to shift something in you, not next year, not after some great change in your circumstances. By the time we reach the end of this video, you will have 12 gentle keys, principles that monks have carried for thousands of years, not to escape life, but to finally live inside it, fully and without fear. Some of these you may have heard before, but I hope to show you something new in each one. On the 12th principle, the last one I will share, I have saved for the very end, because it is the one that came to me not from a monastery, not from a teacher, but from the hardest season of my own long life. It is the one that, even at my age, I return to every single morning. Stay with me until then. Principle 1, impermanence. The first is this: everything changes. This is perhaps the oldest teaching in Buddhism, and perhaps the most resisted. We hear the word impermanence, and we think of loss, of endings, of things being taken from us. And so we push the idea away. But I want to tell you about the cherry blossom. In Japan, and in parts of China where I traveled as a young monk, there is a tradition of sitting beneath the cherry trees when they bloom. Families come together, old friends reunite, people sit quietly and look up at the blossoms. And here is what moves me. Everyone knows the blossoms will be gone in a week. That is not a secret. It is not a sadness added at the end. It is the whole point. The Japanese even have a word for this, mono no aware, the bittersweet beauty of passing things. They do not mourn the blossoms while they are there. They love them more because they know they will go. What would it mean to live this way? Not to pretend that nothing matters because it ends, but to let the ending remind you to be here now while it is still in bloom. Your current season of life, whatever it holds, is a blossom too. When you find yourself gripping something tightly, a relationship, a version of yourself, a time that has passed, gently ask, what would it mean to appreciate this rather than clutch it? The grip is what causes the ache. The open hand holds more peacefully. Principle 2, the middle way. The second principle is balance. The Buddha himself spent years practicing extreme deprivation. He ate almost nothing. He sat in the heat and cold, without shelter. He pushed his body to its limits, believing that suffering itself was the path. And then, one day, near a river, he heard a music teacher on a boat speaking to his student. He was teaching the boy to tune a string instrument. Too tight, the teacher said, and the string would snap. Too loose, and it will not sing. The Buddha sat with that for a long time. He realized that the path was not through the punishment. It was not through pleasure seeking either. It was through the careful, humble middle. This is something I see in many people who come to speak with me. They swing between extremes. They are either very strict with themselves, full of rules, full of guilt when the rules are broken, or they give up entirely and feel that discipline is not for them. Both ends of the string snap or go silent. The middle way in daily life looks quiet. It looks like eating until you are comfortable, not until you are full. It looks like resting before you are exhausted. It looks like noticing when something has become compulsive, even a good thing, and softening it slightly. Where in your life have you pulled the string too tight? Where have you let it go slack? That is where this principle asks to be invited in. Principle 3, right thought. The third principle is about what lives in the mind. I am going to say something that may surprise you. I am 86 years old. I have practiced for over 60 years, and I still have mornings when the mind is a noisy, difficult place. The teaching is not that we eliminate difficult thoughts. The teaching is that we become gardeners. A garden does not become beautiful by wishing the weeds away. You have to notice them. You have to tend the soil. You have to choose deliberately what to water. In Buddhist teaching, this is called right thought, one of the steps along the Eightfold Path. It does not mean only positive thoughts. It means thoughts that are grounded in kindness, in truth, in what is actually helpful. This week, I would like you to try one small practice. At the end of each day, sit for 5 minutes. Not to meditate formally, just to notice. Ask yourself, what did I water today in my mind? What thought did I return to again and again? Was it gratitude? Was it resentment? Was it worry for someone you love? You cannot always choose what enters the garden, but you can notice what you have been feeding. And slowly, over time, what you feed becomes what flowers. Principle 4, compassion for yourself. First, the fourth principle trips many good people. I knew a monk, a gentle, devoted man, who had spent decades offering kindness to everyone around him. He was beloved in our community. If someone needed help, he was the first to arrive. But one evening, I found him sitting alone, weeping. I sat beside him. I asked him what had happened. He said, I made an error today, a small one, and I cannot stop punishing myself for it. I looked at him. I said, you would not speak this way to any person here. Why do you speak this way to yourself? He had no answer. This is very common, very human. We learn compassion as something we give outward to friends, to strangers, even to animals, and we forget entirely that we are also a being who deserves it. The Buddhist concept of compassion, karuna, begins with the recognition of suffering. All suffering. Yours is not excluded. You do not have to earn self-compassion by being perfect. You do not receive it as a reward for being hard enough on yourself first. It is simply what you offer to any being who is struggling and trying their best. Tonight, if the inner voice is harsh, and you will know it when it speaks, try this. Say to yourself, quietly, as if speaking to an old and tired friend, I am doing my best. That is enough for today. It will feel strange at first. Do it anyway. Principle 5, non-attachment. The fifth principle is perhaps the most misunderstood. Non-attachment does not mean not caring. It does not mean drifting through life without love or investment or desire. I loved my wife deeply. I love my students deeply. I love the small garden outside my window. This is not attachment. This is love. Attachment is different. Attachment is when love becomes a demand. When appreciation becomes possession, when the thought of losing something causes us to stop being present with it. I think of a river. A river does not chase the fish. It does not try to hold the light as it falls on the water in the morning. It does not clutch the leaves that float through in autumn. It simply flows. And because it flows, everything beautiful passes through it. When we attach, when we grip, we stop being a river. We become a locked room. Nothing new can enter. Nothing old can leave. The practice is this. When you notice yourself in fear of losing something, pause. Ask, am I loving this thing or am I trying to own it? The first brings joy. The second brings anxiety. You can care deeply and hold loosely. These are not opposites. Principle 6. Beginner's mind. The sixth principle is called, in Zen, Shoshin, the beginner's mind. There is a famous saying from the Zen teacher Shunryu Suzuki. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In an expert's mind, there are few. Well, I have thought about this for 50 years, and I still find new things in it. When we grow older, we carry enormous amounts of experience. This is a gift, but it can also become a kind of blindness. We stop tasting our morning tea because we have had it 10,000 times. We stop listening to a familiar song because we believe we already know it. We stop looking at the person across from us because we are certain we know exactly who they are. And in this certainty, we miss everything that is still alive and changing right in front of us. I try each morning before my tea to look at a cup as if I have never held a cup before. It sounds foolish, perhaps, but try it. For a few moments, life becomes very immediate, very vivid. The beginner's mind is not about ignorance. It is about openness. It is staying permeable, willing to be surprised, willing to be wrong, willing to be moved by things you have seen 100 times. What is one thing in your life that you have stopped truly seeing? Principle 7. Silence is teacher. The seventh principle is silence, not the absence of sound. Something deeper than that. In a monastery where I trained as a young man, there was a bell. It was rung 3 times a day, morning, midday, and evening. And the rule was this. When the bell sounds, whatever you are doing, you stop, you breathe. You arrive back in yourself, just for a moment, then you continue. The teacher who created this practice said, most of us live our lives as if we are running to catch a bus that has already left. We are always slightly ahead of ourselves. Our body is here, but our mind is already in the next hour, the next worry, the next task. Silence, real silence, is the practice of closing that gap. You do not need a monastery. You do not need a bell, though you are welcome to find one. Once a day, just once, stop what you are doing. Sit or stand or lie still. Do nothing for 2 minutes. Let the mind make its noise. You do not have to quiet it. Just listen to it the way you might listen to rain on a roof. You are not the rain. You are the roof. This small act, done consistently, teaches you something no book can, that you exist beneath the noise, that there is a stillness inside you that is always already there, waiting. Principle 8, interdependence. The 8th principle is one of my favorites. The Vietnamese teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, a man whose wisdom I have admired for many decades, wrote about this in a way I have never forgotten. He held up a piece of bread and said, "Look more deeply, and you will see the rain that fell to grow the wheat. You will see the farmer. You will see the sun. You will see the whole universe in this one piece of bread." He called this interbeing, the deep, unbreakable connection between all things. We live in a time when many people feel alone, perhaps more than at any point in history. We have many ways to communicate, and yet the aloneness. Buddhist teaching would say this: the feeling of separation is an illusion, not a comforting lie, an actual error in perception. You are made of rain and earth and a labor of people you will never meet. Your breath is shared with every living creature on this planet. You have never, not once, been alone. When the feeling of loneliness arrives, as it does for all of us, try this. Step outside if you can. Feel the air move. Look at the sky. Remember, in your body, not just your mind, that you are the part of something vast that does not begin or end with you. This is not poetry. It is a factual description of what you are. Principle 9. Letting go of the story. The ninth principle takes courage. I once knew a man, not a monk, an ordinary man, a neighbor of a friend of mine, who had a falling out with his brother, a serious disagreement over money and pride. They did not speak for 30 years. When the brother died, this man came to me. He was full of grief, but also something else. He was confused, because in his grief, he began to remember his brother as he truly was, funny, generous in small ways, someone who had loved him in his own imperfect fashion. He said to me, I cannot understand. The man I remembered for 30 years was a villain, and now I find he was not. I told him gently, the man he remembered was a character in a story he had written and then lived inside, until the story felt more real than the person. We all do this. We build narratives about ourselves, about the people in our lives, about what has been done to us, and then we mistake the narrative for the truth. The ninth principle is to hold your stories loosely. This does not mean to deny real harm. Some things that happened were genuinely wrong, and acknowledging that matters. But ask yourself, is the story I am telling myself about this person, this event, this version of me, is it still serving me? Or have I been carrying it simply because I have carried it for so long? Stories can be revised. New chapters can begin. Even now, even at this age. Principle 10. Present moment awareness. The 10th principle is the one most people think they already understand. They do not. I say that kindly because I did not understand it for a long time either. Present moment awareness is not something you achieve during the meditation and then carry like a possession through the rest of your day. It is something that happens in the ordinary moments, the moments between the important moments, walking from the kitchen to the window, washing your hands, waiting for the kettle to boil. These are the places where most of us disappear. We go somewhere else in our heads. We rehearse old conversations. We plan future ones. We evaluate, we judge, we drift. And life, actual life, the only life there is, passes through those small moments, largely is unseen. Thich Nhat Hanh writes of washing dishes as if each dish were the most important object in the world. Not rushing to finish so you can sit down. Not thinking about the next thing. Just the dish, the water, the hands. This week, choose one small daily activity, just one, and do it with your complete attention. Not forever, just that one thing. Each day, you will discover something. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when you are actually in it. And then, slowly, this quality of presence begins to spread like warmth from a single candle out into a dark room. Principle 11, gratitude as practice. The 11th principle is about gratitude, but not the way it is usually taught. I'm not asking you to feel grateful. Feelings cannot always be summoned. I am asking you to practice it. There is a difference. For many years, I kept, and I still keep, a small notebook. Each morning, before anything else, I write one true thing that I am glad exists. Not a list of 5 things. One, and it must be specific. Not, I am grateful for my health, but today, I'm glad that when I opened the door, the morning air came in cold and clean. Not, I am grateful for my family, but I'm glad that my grandson still calls me on Sundays, even now that he is busy and grown. The specificity is everything. It pulls you out of the abstract and into the actual. Research from the last decade confirms what Buddhist teachers have known for centuries. Regularly directing the mind toward what is good, genuinely, specifically good, reshapes how the mind works. It is not delusion. It is training. You are not pretending the difficult things are not there. You are simply refusing to let them be all that your eyes see. Begin tomorrow. One sentence, one true thing. Write it down. The saved principle. 12. Loving kindness. And now we arrive at the 12th, the one I promised you at the beginning. This principle is called metta in Pali, the old language of the early Buddhist texts. In English, we call it loving kindness. I want to tell you when it became real for me. I was 73 years old. My wife of 41 years had died in the spring. She had been ill for some time, and we had known it was coming, and it still arrived, like something entirely unexpected. Grief is like that. Knowing does not prepare you. For several months after she was gone, I found I could not practice. I could not sit in meditation without tremendous sadness. I could not read. I could not sleep well. A younger monk in our community, a gentle person, came and sat with me one evening. He did not offer wisdom. He simply asked if I would be willing to try one small thing. He taught me to sit quietly, place my hands in my lap, and silently say 4 phrases. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. May I be well. I told him this felt selfish. With my wife gone, with so much pain in the world, why would I direct kindness toward myself first? He smiled. He said, because a lamp that has gone out cannot light another. I tried it. I felt nothing like the first time. I felt foolish. I sat in the dark saying phrases to myself and felt that I was performing something I did not believe. But I kept sitting. For weeks, I kept sitting. And slowly, very slowly, the way warmth comes back into hands that have been cold for a long time, something began to soften. Not the grief remained, but something beneath it. Some place in me that had been braced and hard and closed for a very long time, it began to be less so. The full practice of metta expands outward. After you offer these phrases to yourself, you offer them to someone you love easily, then to someone neutral, a stranger, a neighbor you barely know. Then, in time, to someone who has hurt you. Then, to all living beings. But please do not rush to that. Not tonight. Tonight, if you're willing, just offer it to yourself. Find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes or soften your gaze downward. Breathe naturally. And say, in your own mind, in your own way, may I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. May I be well. Say each phrase slowly. Let it settle. Repeat all 4 gently for 5 or 10 minutes. If the mind wanders, and it will, bring it back without frustration. You are not doing this wrong. Wandering is part of it. Returning is the practice. This is not self-indulgence. This is the act of rebuilding the ground you stand on so that from that ground you can offer something real to the people in your life, to the world, to the moments that still remain. We have walked through 12 principles together today: impermanence, the middle way, right thought, compassion for yourself, non-attachment, beginner's mind, silence, interdependence, releasing the story, present moment, gratitude as practice, and loving kindness. These are not a curriculum to complete. They are not a test you will pass or fail. They are more like a collection of small doors. You do not need to open all of them at once. You only need to stand in front of one and breathe. I have spent more than 60 years with these teachings, and I am still at a beginning. I think that is as it should be. The beginner's mind, you see, applies to the practice itself. What I know after 86 years is this: transformation does not come like lightning. It comes the way morning comes, so slowly at first that you cannot point to the moment the dark became light. But then you look up, and the room is full of it. You do not need to change everything today. You only need to light one small candle and let it burn. May you be gentle with yourself this week. May you find in some ordinary moment, in the kitchen, at the window, in the space between one breath and the next, a little of what you have been searching for. It is closer than you think. It has always been closer than you think. Tell me below, which of these 12 principles which spoke to you most, and which will you try first? Could we, if these words have been of some comfort, I would be glad of your company. You are welcome to subscribe so we may continue walking this path together. And next time, I want to talk about something that touches almost everyone who has lived long enough: how to release a regret that has stayed too long. That video may surprise you. Until then, take good care.